Your hands are clammy, you've got a pit in your stomach, and you've been nervous all day at work because of your upcoming review. But you don't need to be. Getting feedback is a normal part of all work environments. And what's most important is how you receive and respond to feedback. When I first started working in a professional setting, I realized something. Sometimes when I thought I was doing great and completing all of my tasks, I didn't realize that there's always still room to grow and improve. Even if you're an all-star employee, there is never any harm in understanding where you can improve so you can keep your career trajectory sky high. A few years ago, a survey of millennial employees found that 1 in 4 employees had called in sick to avoid an annual performance review. Yet, the same survey found that almost 9 out of 10 people would feel a lot more confident in their work if they had more frequent performance reviews. So the problem isn't feedback. We need feedback to grow. The problem is how many people are not taught how to deal with feedback, criticism, and performance reviews by the time they get into their professional careers. In today's video, I'm not only going to share with you how to receive feedback, but how to respond to the feedback that you receive and shift your mindset into believing that feedback is a good thing, because it really is for your career. Before we talk about how to handle feedback early on in your career, I want to make an important distinction between feedback, advice, and criticism. Feedback is a collaborative exercise. Here's a great quote that I love. Feedback, when done right, is motivated by the desire to build up the receiver. Even if it looks at past behavior, it is future-oriented. So what that basically means is when done right, feedback is meant to help, inspire, and motivate you to want to do better. At its core, the message is positive and should be received as such. Advice, on the other hand, is direct recommendations. Advice is also focused on how you can improve, but instead of being a collaborative process, the person giving you advice tells you what to do. This doesn't mean that advice is always condescending or autocratic. It's actually a really great tool for employees who want to get ahead or want to tap into knowledge of their more experienced coworkers. But when feedback is too vague, the person requesting it may want to pivot into asking for advice. Finally, criticism is pointing out errors. Criticism is when someone provides feedback on what you did wrong in their opinion, and while some criticism can be useful, it's often too vague to help and can be seen as hurtful in its delivery. For example, telling someone that the cake you bake tastes terrible criticizes their work without providing any tips on how they can improve, while the cake that you baked tasted terrible because you used too much salt explains precisely what went wrong. When doled out thoughtlessly, unfairly poking at somebody's weaknesses without considering their potential to evolve can foster a toxic work environment that favors blaming over collaboration. This is not the type of work environment you want to be involved in, and I'm sorry if you've had unhealthy criticism hurled at you before. So with these 3 definitions in mind, know that if you're given proper feedback with steps to take that you can follow to improve your performance, there's really nothing to be afraid of. Your supervisor should be there to help you and want to give you the proper feedback to grow your career. However, sometimes we are not given this luxury, unfortunately. We may not always get proper feedback to help us grow into our career, so let's talk about how we can navigate feedback when it isn't always perfect. Feedback, advice, and criticism can be hard to receive when it's unsolicited. I know that I felt defensive in the past when my work was analyzed and critiqued, but I also know that those feelings are human, so here are 5 tips to help you remain composed and dignified in the workplace when you receive feedback. Our first tip is to do the best you can to stay grounded. Take a deep breath. You always have a choice, and at the end of the day, you can do whatever you'd like with the information you have been given, including doing nothing. Take time to process how you feel. Acknowledge if you're angry, upset, or defensive, and remember that those are totally normal reactions. Then do your best to not let those emotions lead your response. Our third tip is to check where the feedback is coming from and what's actually being said, as opposed to how you are interpreting it. Your boss, for example, is in a position to give you feedback whether you want it or not, and you shouldn't be afraid to ask for any clarifications if you need it. If it's coming from elsewhere, think about whether you trust the intentions of the giver, or if the information will be useful for you in future scenarios. Sometimes it's great to get a second opinion from a trusted mentor, advisor, or an objective friend. Stay curious. Ask yourself if any of this information might be true, what serves you, and if it provides opportunities for learning and growth. Perhaps you're unknowingly making mistakes or heading towards a negative outcome, and the feedback giver is only trying to lend a helping hand. And lastly, ask yourself how you want to proceed. Don't forget that it's always within your power to set healthy boundaries by choosing how you prefer to receive feedback and how you'd like it to be communicated. Now let's talk about the benefits of receiving regular feedback. Feedback is anxiety-inducing, but it's also very uncomfortable to give. I know that I personally find it very challenging at times to give the right feedback, but at the end of the day, the feedback, even though it's hard to give at times, lets us build our working relationships, and that leads to all the points we're just about to mention in this video. So here are some benefits of getting regular feedback that you can think back on when you inevitably come into this situation. First off, it helps you improve your performance. When you ask someone how you can improve your work performance, they can give you honest advice and steps you can take to meet your goals. It also develops open and transparent dialogue. Seeking regular feedback may help you to develop professional relationships that are honest and focused on improvement and developing career competencies. It also may improve your chances of getting promoted. If you're seeking to get a raise or a promotion, asking for regular feedback can increase your chances. You show that you're dedicated to your work and you're willing to put in the effort to grow and fix any mistakes. It also improves your ability to fix mistakes quickly. Receiving feedback from colleagues may help you to understand areas of your performance that require improvement. Your colleagues can give you guidance about how to solve your workplace problems effectively and efficiently. And finally, it provides an opportunity to learn from colleagues. Your colleagues, especially your managers and leaders, have an abundance of information that they can share with you regarding your workplace competencies, skills, or processes. Feedback meetings can be seen as a big opportunity for you to receive potential advice and wisdom. So based on what I've shared thus far, hopefully you're starting to get into that headspace where you're thinking that feedback can be a really useful tool to help you advance in your career. Now, here are my recommendations for the best way to ask for feedback. First is finding an appropriate time to ask. You'll want to find the right time to ask another person to meet with you so they can give you useful and detailed feedback. The right time, of course, will vary depending on your unique workplace situation. For example, if I ask for feedback at 4:45 p.m., not realizing that my coworker normally finishes at 4 p.m., they feel the need to jump on after work hours to help and respond, and they will most likely feel rushed and would not appreciate it if I asked for help at this time. A good time to ask for feedback is after learning a new skill or taking on a new role. That way, your colleagues can give you insight into your development, and it's also best to ask for feedback when the person that you're asking is not busy or preoccupied, as we were just talking about. Find the time to bring up the subject when you're both working at an easy pace. You'll also want to make sure to give them time to prepare to meet you and to give you detailed feedback. So it's not the best to ask spontaneously for immediate feedback. You may wish to bring up the request for feedback in person, over email, or another appropriate place of workplace communication. Some companies may even choose to use websites and software that help facilitate the feedback process. You may be able to use one of these services to request feedback if your workplace uses them. Secondly, we recommend that you prepare questions to ask. To make the most of your meeting together, you may wish to write down important questions to ask your colleagues in order to gather essential information. The following are examples of some questions that you may consider asking to receive feedback. How can I get better at supporting the mission of our team? In what ways can I improve my time management? What skills should I develop to improve my work performance? What advice can you give me to improve my communication? How can I be prepared for our upcoming projects? So take the time and develop questions that will be the most useful for you and your unique situation. The best questions for useful feedback help you discover your strengths and weaknesses, which can help you overcome any workplace obstacle. You also may choose to address the specific issues that you are having that make it harder for you to perform at your best. Remember, this is your opportunity to get that information that you need to advance in your career. Thirdly, we recommend that you take notes. It's professional to come prepared, whether it is with a notebook or pen or your laptop, so that you can write down key concepts that come up in your conversation. Taking notes show that you value the information that you're receiving and that you wish to remember the feedback. You can even consider using the notes as a handbook to help you get better at your job. In the future, you can reference these events to evaluate how you have performed. We also recommend that you learn how to improve from your feedback. Receiving feedback is only useful if you can use it to improve your work performance. Take the time that you need to reflect on the conversation and consider the most essential things that you need to change. Give yourself the time to develop a plan to implement specific improvement methods. You may find it helpful to make a list of goals inspired by your feedback meeting. So let's give a really simple example. If a coach tells you to bend your knees or to improve your stance, when you receive this feedback, what are you going to do in order to improve from it? So whether it is incorporating that feedback into your routine, writing it down on a checklist, writing it down on your arm, or developing goals that help you accomplish this, in a series of manageable steps, you'll need to start implementing it into your life somehow. In the past, I have even had managers and supervisors come up to me and say something along the lines of, "Have you tried using this software to improve your productivity and performance?" I find that it really helps, and so on and so forth. Part of getting feedback is actually implementing that into your life and trying it out. For example, once I was transcribing an audio file by listening to the audio and writing it down word for word, when a manager stopped me and said, "Hey, have you tried using this software to transcribe your files? It'll transcribe your whole video in a couple minutes and then you can correct it." So if I never got this feedback, I would be spending hours transcribing my files. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to our channel today. And don't forget to check out our social media channels for more career success content. We post early career advice every Friday, so don't miss out. We recommend that you also say thank you. It's a really good idea to formally show your gratitude. After a colleague has given up time to help you, show that you appreciate them by telling them in person or following up with them in an email. Following up is important as it helps you foster beneficial professional relationships. Showing that you were thankful will likely make your colleagues more open to meeting again and giving you feedback in the future, which is what we'd like. Next, we recommend that you ask for feedback regularly. Every company will have a different pace at which they make evaluations, but you'll want to find a time that works the best for you. It's a good idea to ask for a feedback from your employer before you get officially evaluated. And asking for feedback around once a month is usually an appropriate amount. And as your meetings become regular, you can begin to develop reciprocal relationships that help you improve. And finally, most importantly, we recommend that you begin to shift your mindset when it comes to feedback. So cultivate a growth mindset as well as a positive one. While some of us have a hard time receiving negative feedback, there are those who thrive on it. This group of individuals have what's known as a growth mindset. They focus on their ability to change and grow, as opposed to those who have a fixed mindset and are not able to see feedback as an opportunity for improvement. We also recommend that you take credit for your mistakes and continue to grow. It's easy to take credit for our successes, obviously, but failure is something that we don't like to admit to. For example, we're a lot more likely to blame failure on external factors than our own shortcomings. It's a lot easier to say something along the lines like, "My coworker was not actually able to do their part, so that impacted my performance." However, I would advise you to refrain from that approach and just embrace your mistakes, no matter why they happen. Take a page from the embracing failure movement and treasure the opportunities you're given to continue to learn and grow. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to like this video if you've enjoyed it. Or check out Uvaro for more information surrounding how you can achieve the ultimate career success. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new, and stay tuned for more videos on early career advice, career success, and Uvaro member stories. We help people change careers and enable them to land their dream jobs in tech. So remember that Uvaro is your career success company. I'll see you in the next video.